Hey everybody, today we're making orange ginger stickies, which are perfect for Christmas morning. But before we get started, please subscribe to Food Network's YouTube channel right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my biscuit dough. I love making biscuits. I am the biscuit queen. I'm adding in my flour, baking powder, baking soda, just a little bit, salt, and a little bit of sugar. I add a little bit of sugar just to balance that baking soda. Then I'm gonna just mix all of that up. Just make sure you mix it up really well. All right, then you're gonna add some vegetable shortening. The shortening actually keeps your biscuits soft. And the only thing that I do is pick up the shortening, pinch it with my fingers, and just make sure that you have really incorporated the shortening. I have really cold butter, cold or frozen. I'm gonna toss it in the flour just to make sure that it's not gonna melt in my hands. And I have just a regular box grater. Now, I do half the butter, and then I toss the butter because I don't want it to get soft. I wanna make sure that it's cold enough to separate in the flour. All right, so you see how we have all of the butter is tossed into the flour. Now, this is really important. What you're gonna do is just sort of pinch the butter. Actually helps you incorporate the butter into the flour. You don't want to do it too much, about 30 to 60 seconds. All right, now I make a well, and I'm going to pour in the buttermilk. I have a stiff spatula, and then I don't want to overmix them. And I do these little hash marks and make sure I get all of the dry bits. We have our mixed dough. I'm going to take some oil spray exactly where I'm going to work. And then I'm gonna add some flour to it. The reason I'm doing that is because right where that oil is, this is where my flour stays. So I don't have to worry about too much flour getting on the wet dough. I'm gonna add a little more flour that I do want to get on my dough. Now, do not be concerned on how wet it is. The reason people have dry biscuits is because their dough is so dry. If it's too dry at this point, you have nowhere to go. So with your bench flour, you're going to just sprinkle the flour over the dough, rock it so it can move, making sure that it's not sticking. Pat it down. If it's sticking to your fingers, add just a little more flour. And then we're gonna do folds. We're just gonna fold a letter. So a third over, a third, right? And then we turn it so the open ends are pointing toward your hands. A little more flour, pat, pat, pat. A little more. I'm gonna do one more turn. And what this does, so those shards of butter that we had, they're making layers. And so every time I do a turn, that's 3 layers. I'm doing it 3 times, so that's 9 layers. Okay. Boom, see that? All right. Boom, boom. Just pat that out. And we're making it even. I'm using one hand as a guide, one hand to pat. And then I'm gonna put this on the sheet pan like that. I'm gonna cover it and I'm gonna let it chill for a little bit before we roll it out. Just sort of just tuck it in there like that. Just make sure the dough itself is covered. Don't even worry about cleaning this up because we're coming right back here. All right, so while the dough is chilling, we're gonna make our filling. We're gonna add in brown sugar and granulated sugar and some salt. Now, I'm doing orange ginger, but you can do any flavor. And I think that this is the fun part of this. You can customize it however you want. If there are flavors that your family likes, then I say figure out a way to get them in there. And then we're gonna add in some orange zest. I love mixing zest with sugar or salt because all of the oils from the zest really permeate. And this is how you can get the most bang for your buck out of citrus. So we have our orange sugar. I've got my crystallized ginger, all right? Now, I have softened butter, really soft. That is gonna be in the middle of my stickies. Here's my dough, which has been chilling out in the fridge. And the reason that we want it to chill is because we wanna make sure that we can manipulate it and roll it out. So just roll them out. This is gonna be such a beautiful dough. You always have to make sure the dough can move. I'm gonna try to get this out like 17 inches by about 8, really just to make sure that it's thin enough but also that we're gonna get about 24 pieces. All right, you don't have to get this perfect, but I just wanna make sure that I have enough width. Before I put anything down, I just wanna make sure that nothing is sticking, okay? And that everything's gonna be able to move when I start to roll it up. And it's pretty even. Offset spatula, I've got my softened butter. Look at that, it's just nice and soft. So try not, as you're doing this, try not to tear the dough. If you feel like you're tearing the dough or if it's getting too warm, you may want, if you think you work very slowly, you may want to work on a piece of parchment paper so that you can pick the parchment up and slide it onto the underside of a sheet pan. So I'm taking my orange sugar and just spreading it out like this. You can absolutely make this in advance, and actually I would suggest that you make this in advance. Anything that you're making for Christmas morning, you need to make it in advance. Christmas is right around the corner. Are you all ready for Christmas? These stickies will help get you ready. All right, you see that? I'm trying to keep everything even. If you see a clump of flour, just brush it off, or with your fingers, or if you have a pastry brush, just keep rolling up like this. Try to keep it as tight as possible. All right, so here we go. We have our dish already. I have my knife. I'm going to slice. It's okay that this is not even. I'm just gonna go down like that. Make sure you saw. It is my pet peeve not to saw, y'all. I don't know what it is about it. I just like a nice clean cut. All right, so I am getting these all on here. The reason that you want a hot oven is because butter has water in it. The reason that you want cold butter is so that when your baked good that has the cold butter goes into the oven, it creates steam, and that steam creates lift. And that's why we did all of those folds. And the last one is always the Granny biscuit, and yep, here you are, Granny. That's Granny, because that's the one that she touched the most. I'm gonna put these in the oven. I'm gonna make my milk drizzle. These are gonna come out after 20 minutes. I'm going down low. So I have milk here. We're making the milk glaze. I have milk. I'm adding a little bit of vanilla. Simple, simple, simple. And now I'm gonna grab my stickies. So now you pour the milk while they're still warm out of the oven. You pour the milk over the entire thing, and the milk is going to absorb into these little roulades, and they're gonna get all sticky, and the milk also helps them to brown. I'm super excited. All right, so back in the oven we go, and you wanna make sure what you're looking for when you pull them out is that the milk is all absorbed and the tops are nice and brown. So in the meantime, we're gonna make a drizzle. I have powdered sugar, and I have fresh squeezed orange juice, which we have from the oranges that we zested. So I'm just gonna pour that right in there and just mix it up. And if it's too loose, grab more powdered sugar. You just want it to be at a pourable consistency. So just keep mixing until your glaze is fairly thick, and that's what we're looking for. You see that it's gotten even more golden brown. We call that GBD in the food world, golden brown and delicious. And just look at all of these crevices. There are people who are gonna want corners, there are people who are gonna want pieces on the inside. All right, so now what I do is I just drizzle this orange juice topping. And again, if you're using lemon, you would use lemon juice. You just make it your own. If you just want it to be vanilla, maybe you want it to be cinnamon, you make it your own, and it will be delicious because it's yours. All right, all of it goes on here. So let me get in here. I'm gonna take a corner piece. So my husband likes the corner pieces. I like a corner and the inside because you get that softness. It smells like Christmas morning. You're welcome. Okay. Mmm, it's so good. I'm telling you, a new tradition for your Christmas morning. Orange ginger stickies.